Okay, welcome back, Islanders. I wanted today to do a video on the science, the actual process of learning languages and how our brains acquire languages. Why is this so important? Because I think in order for us to learn a second language, you have to understand how we learn a first language. And that's what I'm going to go ahead and talk about in today's video. So I just want to remind everybody, don't forget, we have plenty of tools at our website. And if you want to learn languages and use our tools, you just go to your web browser or search engine and you type in islander.world. And that's it. And that'll take you right to our website. Good. So let's go ahead and get started on this. And I want to talk a little bit about how we learn languages, and especially today, how we learn a first language. So there's been research done that has demonstrated we start learning languages as early as 6-7 months in our mother's stomach. Even before we're born, we're learning languages. And how do we know this? They've done research where they've shown that a baby inside his or her mother's stomach already recognizes his or her mother's voice. So, for example, they put recordings, tape recordings of various women, including the mother's voice, next to the stomach of a pregnant mother, and the baby's heart will actually slow down. It'll be calm when it hears its mother's voice. This demonstrates, obviously, that we start learning languages at a very early stage. So, what does this mean when it comes to learning a second language? Well, I've said this so many times. We have to learn a second language just like we learn our first language. And you say, well, how is that possible? I can't learn I can't learn English like you learned it. You grew up in America. I live in Estonia, or I live in Argentina. Yeah, it's true. You can't, but you can at least imitate those practices as best as possible. And that's why I'm doing The Sims, because this is the best way for you to understand how to learn a language and still be in an environment where you can learn that language. Now, let me give you an example. So here we've got a family. Let's go ahead and start playing the game right now. And it's paused right now. But for example, let's say you are one of these little boys. Let's take this guy. He's got a good perspective. And this is you as a child, right? This happened. This might be similar to your family situation when you were growing up. It might not be. But you can see there's many different things going on here. He sees his brothers. He sees the dog. He sees the fire. He sees his mother. There's a big playhouse. Lots going on here. And what's happening visually, let's go ahead and tab this. Visually, what's happening is he is seeing this. He's looking at this scene, and there is visual processing going on right now. There are visual memories that are going inside his brain now, and those are being associated with language. So let's go ahead and press play and see what happens. For example, now The Sims, it's a great piece of software. The problem is they speak in Simlish, which is just useless. If you ever want a real language to learn, Simlish is not going to do much for you. That's why we're here. We're going to replace Simlish with English and help you to understand how you can use English in this context. So let's go ahead and press play and let's listen. So there he goes. He comes in. Here's the dog barking. His mother is speaking. His brothers, his siblings are doing something, and he's talking to the dog, okay? So a lot happening here. And so in his brain right now, he's remembering things. There's associations going on. Ruff, ruff, ruff. He hears the dog bark. And we can see, look at his brothers, look at his siblings, their face. And he's starting to make associations. This guy's making an association. He's looking at it from a different perspective. And maybe he's not looking at his dog or his brother. Maybe he's checking out Daddy over here and seeing what Daddy's doing. And Daddy, who is an adult, is also making associations. Why? He's right now, let's look at it from his perspective. He's looking down and he is checking out something right here. Maybe he's looking at this countertop going, wow, this is kind of a boring design. I think I need to upgrade this countertop. Or he's going, oh man, am I going to have salad again? We don't know. Anyways, the point being is that we're making associations from the very beginning. Now, when it comes to your native language, you have already stored that language somewhere in your brain. And this is the biggest mistake that people make, is they are constantly using, when they want to improve their listening and their speaking skills, they use their reading skills. And the reality is this: we store our visual memories in a different part of the brain than our auditory memories. The dog barking does not go in the same part of the brain as the word B-A-R-K. That goes into a different part of the brain. But we associate that. And when people start learning languages, they'll do this. And I'm saying this because I've studied 5 foreign languages now. And when I started, my first foreign language was Spanish. When I started studying, I really didn't do the right way. I didn't learn the language, or learn a language how you should. What I did is like this. I went to a vocabulary list. Let's just go ahead and go down there and let's check out the website here. For example, I'm going to go with Spanish here because that was my first foreign language that I started studying. Where is Spanish? There it is, Espanol. So what I would do is I would go down and I would say, okay, cheerful, alegres, and creative, creativo. And I would go and I'd try and memorize these words, and I would see, oh, the definition for alegre is happy, or cheerful is happy, happier, contento, and all this. And so, but I wasn't making associations. What I was doing is I was associating English written word with Spanish written word, and that's not how our brain works. Our brain, we have a natural way of storing language. We have a natural way. What we do is, whether it's subject, verb, object, or verb, subject, object, or whatever, we store that in our brain in a certain capacity, and then we make associations with sounds. The dog is barking. Dog is barking. Dog, dog, bark, dog, bark. All right, this will be the very early stages of your language learning. Dog, bark. Cat, meow. Cat, meow. That's in English. But you probably, if your English isn't your native language, you learned it in another way. And so what you have to do is you have to go back to being a child again. You have to go back to thinking like a child, just like this guy right here. And see, and you look around, and then you start making associations. Doggy, doggy, barking. You look at the doggy, barking, doggy, barking. Brother, brother, happy, brother, happy. And that's how you start making associations with vocabulary. And that's how you build your vocabulary really fast, because it is a simple matter of making learning fun, making it fun and enjoyable. And I've been searching for a really good program for a long time in order to teach languages in this way. And The Sims is just about as good as it gets. The major default is that, again, I mentioned this earlier in the video, is that they use Simlish, and Simlish will get you nowhere in life. And I mean nowhere. So if you want to learn a real language, that's where we are going to augment this. We are going to bring in the vocabulary, the listening and the speaking vocabulary, in order for you to improve your languages fast. Okay, so that was my introduction to the philosophy of language learning, the science behind it. We're going to talk a lot about this, because you have to understand, if you've been using improper ways, bad ways, outdated methods in order to learn a language, you need to change it fast, and you need to learn how to acquire this new method of learning a language that will really increase your vocabulary. Okay, that's it, Islanders. Have yourself a fantastic day. Remember, if you like this video, go ahead and give me a like and leave a comment.